Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. Welcome to DC TechNet. DC TechNet is your own channel, so do like, share and subscribe. It motivates us to create new content. So let's see what we have today. Today we are going to take an odd topic, that is IT assets naming convention. So which is least discussed topic in the IT world. So let's see what we have today. So first we'll give some examples of IT assets. Then we'll understand what is naming convention. Then we'll again understand why to use IT assets naming convention. Then we'll go for some best practices which are used in the industry for naming IT assets. And last but not the least, we'll wrap up the session with some real world examples. So let's look at some examples of IT assets. So desktop, laptops, tablets, rack servers, blade servers, racks, headphones, VPN devices, UPS, NAS, SAN. These are some of the examples. There are thousands and thousands of IT assets, but these are just some of the examples. So next question comes in the mind, what is naming convention? So a naming convention is a set of rules that tells us how to name things in an IT ecosystem. A naming convention is essentially a set of rules and guidelines that dictate how different elements within an IT ecosystem should be named. An IT asset naming convention is a standard system for naming various technology resources within an organization. So it's all about naming, how to name our IT assets, and there has to be some standardized format. So this is all about standardized format for naming every asset in the world of information technology. Next question, why to use this naming convention? Is there any reason why to use? So every organization has its own standard of naming convention. So why organizations use naming convention? So there are many reasons. I'll just take some of the reasons. The first reason might be consistency. Ensure all assets are named uniformly, reducing confusion and making it easier to manage resources. Clarity. So naming convention provides meaningful and despite of the names, it makes it easier to identify and understand the purpose and location of the asset. So just by names we can understand where that asset belongs to and what is the purpose of that particular asset. The third why is efficiency. So facilitates quicker identification and troubleshooting of assets, leading to faster resolution of issues. Scalability accommodates the addition of new assets without naming conflicts, supporting growth and expansion. So this is one of the advantages, or this is one of the advantages of using a proper naming convention. Organization helps categorize and organize assets logically improving inventory management and resource allocation. Security, so enhance security by clearly identifying and managing assets, making it easier to apply security policies and conduct audit. Accountability. I'll just not read everything. Automation, compliance, and communication. So it improves communication amongst IT staff and between departments by providing a common language for referring to assets. So these are, say, some of the points. Why should we use a proper naming convention, or what are the advantages of using a naming convention for our IT assets? So let us see some of the best practices in the industry for using names for our IT assets. So again, consistency and descriptive names now. So use descriptive names that provides meaningful information about the assets, such as the purpose, location, department, and type. These are some of the best practices. Standardized format. So establish a standardized format for naming assets to ensure uniformity and ease of understanding. For example, use abbreviations or codes for location, department, and asset type. Compliance. Supports compliance with industry standard and regulations by providing a structured and auditable asset naming system. Now we also need to avoid special characters in our assets naming. So make sure that the names of our assets are, say, short and very clear, so that people will be able to remember the names of the asset. Avoid ambiguity. And last but not the least, documentation. So we have to document our naming convention guidelines, and we have to educate our IT staff on the convention to provide consistency and adherence. So documentation is very, very important, and educating our IT staff on, say, using the naming convention. So let's see some real world example. Let's see usernames in our Active Directory. So some companies go for first name dot last name, example Alan dot Webs. Some organizations go with the first name, say first letter of the first name and the last name, example A Webs. Let's look at some real world examples for, say, servers. So it can be country, location, virtual, physical, role, test, dev, prod, and the number. Example UK, London, virtual, say file server P03. Or let's say another example would be Australia's Sydney, virtual, SQL 01. Another example would be AZERA. Say AZ means, say, Azure Eastern Region application. There's some Attendix application installed on this server, so ADTX is the name. So just by name we can identify the application installed on the server. So these are some of the real world examples. And of course, we can also integrate operating systems in the real world, but it will not, it doesn't make any sense. But I have seen some organizations, they also include operating systems in the host names. Laptops and desktop host names. So common practice is people go with country, location and the number. Let's say US San Francisco laptop 297, or UAE Dubai desktop 84. So these are some of the real world examples. And these are some of the abbreviations used in the real world. For firewalls, file server, application server, SAN storage, UPS, web servers, so on and so forth. So these examples are used in the real world. I have seen people using these abbreviations. So what I like the following criteria. Okay, you may choose to incorporate in your server naming convention. For example, environment, then we can go for location, primary application or any service installed on the server, operating system, is it a physical or a virtual machine, and of course unique number for count. Extremely important. So this is what I like whenever I go for, say, any revamping of, say, the naming convention. So I use such abbreviations. So let's summarize today's session. So today we saw what is naming convention and its importance. We saw naming convention best practices, and we also saw some of the real world examples. So thank you for joining today. Hope you have enjoyed the session. So if you think this channel is helping you to learn anything new, do like, share and subscribe the channel, and have a wonderful day.